Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the highly talked about Sephora Pro Palette. I feel like when these first came out, everybody was going like crazy. A lot of people were comparing these to the Natasha Denona palettes, and I did go ahead and pick up all three. I have featured these in first impressions, and I know a ton of you guys wanted to see a full in-depth review on my thoughts. And I'm going to give you some thoughts. So really quick before we get started, I am going to be reviewing all three palettes. I have the Cool Tone, the Warm Tone, and the Editorial Palette. And also make sure before you leave this video that you do not forget to subscribe down below. That way you're notified for future videos from me. I post on Sundays and Wednesdays, and then I throw in some bonus videos, and I have a lot of reviews coming up, especially around the holidays. I typically go ham on all the holiday collections, so yeah, make sure you subscribe. That way you're notified, and yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the video. Really quick, I'm going to show you guys the packaging of these. They come in these boxes right here. It says Sephora Pro. You have the blue one, that's the Editorial. You have the Cool one, which is the silver one, and then you have the Warm Tone, which is the gold. Each palette comes with 28 shades. You have different finishes across the palettes, and again, I think that's why a lot of people were comparing these to the Natasha Denona, because it is like the same layout. To me, if you think about it, the Natasha palettes, let me see if I have one. Yep, got one right here. Okay, so as you can kind of see with the Natasha palette, here's what the Natasha packaging looks like, and then you have the names that come in the palette, and then here is like the layout of the shades. Okay, so here are these like kind of side by side, comparing them to the Natasha palette. So as you can see, like the lineup as far as how they're like in the palette looks the exact same. Neither of them have the actual names on the palette. You have to have the insert. I do like that the Natasha one actually comes with the insert like attached. The Sephora one, it falls out. I already actually lost one of the palette names. I'm going to start with each palette, and then I'll kind of give you guys an overview of what I think on the whole collection. So the first palette is going to be the Sephora Pro, the Warm palette. So this is the palette that we're going to start with. This is the Warm Tone palette. And the price difference, these are going to be $68, which is really expensive. And then the Natasha ones are like $239. So I mean, even if you get some dupes out of this, that would be great. Okay, so yeah, this is the Warm Tone palette. This one honestly is by far my favorite, because I feel like, I don't know, it's not that the formula is different, but I feel like, one, I gravitate toward these colors more, and for me, this one performed the best out of all three. So I'm going to do a couple swatches for you guys. Now, there is one shade in this palette, honestly, is awful. Like I said, I'm just being really honest, and that is the color Peach. It's this one right here, this like peach shade. In the pan, it looks like it's going to be so gorgeous. Here's what it looks like on the finger, and then it performs and swatches like, you know what. You can rub it in all you want, but it's very, very, very sheer. Like, I can keep packing it on. You just don't get a lot of performance out of this shade. But the other shades in this palette, from what I have experienced, are very pigmented, very blendable, super creamy, which is what I like, right? Okay, so let me swatch some of my favorites. So the shade Clay, which is going to be that warm tone brown, is absolutely gorgeous. Of course, the shade beside Peach, it is called Brick, is super pretty. You have the shade Brass, which is like a lime green moss shade, which is super, super pretty. And then I really like the shade Terracotta, which is just obviously like a terracotta shade. Like, look how gorgeous these shades are. There, those four swatched, they are insanely pigmented. With the Natasha shades, like, there's not that many that are gonna be super comparable. We have this shade, which is like a green, but it's not the same color green. You see what I'm saying? It's green, but it's just not the same color. The texture of the like full eyeshadows with the Sephora Pro are similar as far as like the texture, how they feel are kind of similar. But yeah, as you can see, there's not really any like super shade comparisons. Sorry, this is like the one that I use personally, and the other one was the one that I use in my kit. But yeah, there's not any like crazy colors that are similar, really, besides these two at the top, which are mattes. But Natasha is more known for her shimmers. So the Sephora Pro palettes, I mean, to me, they aren't super similar to Natasha, only because the Natasha ones have a ton of shimmer shades and these have a ton of mattes for the most part, but they're absolutely beautiful. Like, you can't compare them as far as like they're the same eyeshadows, or you know what I mean, same palettes, but these four shades are absolutely gorgeous. Let me wipe this other green off, and I'm going to swatch like four more shades. But yeah, as far as matte shades go with this palette, I'm super, super impressed. I mean, if you are a warmth warm tone girl, like this is gonna be your dream everyday palette. And I mean, for $68, you are getting really nice shades. Honestly, the only one I had a problem with was the peach shade. I think this palette is fantastic. The warm tone, like I said, I'll get into the other ones, but this one I would 100% recommend. I think it's so worth the money. And I know that $68 is a lot of money, but when you break that down, and yes, I'm using my calculator, but when you break that down, 68 divided by 28 shades, it's $2.42 for a palette. Like, how many of you guys have a ton of ColourPop eyeshadows, right? Those are $4 or $5, just depending on if they have a sale. So this, in my opinion, is a super good deal. These have been out of stock, so I am going to leave them down below for you guys. But yeah, really good deal for the warm palette. And then there's a close-up of those shades if you wanted to see them. Okay, the next one is the Cool Tone palette. And here's what the Cool Tone palette looks like. Right there. To me, this palette is my least favorite out of all three palettes, and a couple reasons why. So the first reason this is going to be my least favorite is because I feel like they could have done a little bit better on the color range. Like for me, those top shades, I could have skipped out on the whole entire top row. All the shades are very similar. Like, let me swatch a couple just on my hands. Here's 4 shades from the top row. Yes, these are 4 different shades. There they are swatched. Like, they just aren't that different. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, one of them has like a more sheen finish, and I mean, they're all basically the same in my opinion. Like, I don't need that many shades of that color. I don't ever go in with that kind of shade normally. Today is like the most that I've done on a brow bone highlight in a hot minute. Like, I just don't need those kind of shades. So yeah, this is my least favorite. I'm going to swatch some of these for you guys. As far as the cons that I experienced with this palette, it's just, to me, a lot of the shades like blend away. So they look really pigmented whenever you put them on, but then as you start blending, some of the colors like fade out. I had the most problem on the more like red tone shades, which even when you swatch them, I mean, they are pigmented, but just on the eyes, they didn't perform that well. So this one at the very bottom, oh my gosh, it is so gorgeous. Like, why could the whole palette not have been this? The shimmers in this palette are gorgeous, but some of them are just like, you know, misses for me. Like this one right here, it's like a purple one, but you really have to work really hard to build it up. And then you have these like 2 almost like duochrome shades, as you can see right here. But do you see how sheer they are compared to that top one that's super, super bold? Okay, so there those are. I mean, they are really pretty, but they're just really sheer. And I like the like bold in your face colors. They have a really pretty shift to them, but it's just, like I said, to me, they're too sheer. Like, you would definitely have to put something over them. It's this one right here, and then this one down at the bottom. Here's a couple more swatches for you guys, just so you can see. The mattes do look nice, but like I said, just after working with them, they were just more difficult, I feel like, than the other palette. Not that they're horrible, but I just feel like the warm tone one was a lot easier to work with. These like look pigmented at first, but then for me, they just blended away. And then I did do a video, I'll try to leave the link down below. It was a first impressions with this palette. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do a cool tone look. I was all excited. And then I ended up going into other palettes because I couldn't get what I was wanting in this palette. Okay, really quick before we end this one, I'm going to show you my 2 favorite shades out of the palette, and it's these 2 right here. Here's what these 2 look like. And these are more of like what I would wear on a day-to-day basis. There those are swatched. So these ones are super gorgeous. There's a lot of different like finishes in these palettes. So you have these are more powdery. You have that one blue one, which is like super like thick and dark and pigmented. Then you have the ones that are more sheer. Then you have some like almost shimmeries, and then you have some mattes. But yeah, I don't think this palette's awful. I just feel like I don't have as many colors that I feel like I would use and get use out of like I do the warm tone palette, just because there are more misses in this palette for me than there are hits. And again, I'm just being completely transparent with you guys because, again, $68 is a lot of money to spend. So out of the cool tone or the warm tone, 100% recommend the warm tone. I mean, if you like these kind of shades, I mean, I love these. So for me, I'm not going to return the cool tone palette because I will get use out of some of the shades. I just didn't have as much hits as I did misses. And to me, some of the colors were a little bit blah. Like I said, the top row, I just wasn't feeling it. Okay, the very last palette is the Editorial, and here's what the Editorial looks like. Okay, so this palette I'm kind of in the middle on, right? So like I love the warm tone, I don't really like the cool tone, And this one, as far as the pros, they're so pigmented. Oh my gosh. Especially for these like bright shades. I was not expecting them to be as bright as they are. But how often are you going to use this kind of palette is kind of like the con for me. So the reason that I honestly got this, at first I wasn't, but I looked at the bottom, and the bottom is where you have like all of the really pretty full shades, and I mean, they are gorgeous. So I'm going to go ahead and start swatching some of them. The formula and everything, these are like sickening. Just for the full shades that you're getting out of here is worth the $68. Like here is some shades from the bottom row. Okay, so there are those swatched on the hand. I love this shade. I did do a look with this and it turned out really, really pretty. And then here are some more. Like, oh my gosh, these colors are so sick. Look how pretty they are. Yes. They are so gorgeous. So there those are swatched. Now, again, like these are different colors. Like you may not get as much wear out of them, but like you cannot deny the pigmentation in these. They're just so pretty. So I'm probably swatching the most out of this palette because this palette to me just has like so many different shades. They're like all over the place, not in a bad way, just like there's so much you can do with this palette. The only thing is you don't really have a transition. So I used this like super hot pink in a video and it was like mind-blowing how crazy pigmented it was. These are crazy. Oh my gosh, I cannot get over them. Like if you want to go bold, like this is going to be going bold. And like there those are. So they're still like super bright even whenever you put them on. There are those shades right there. And again, this is my hand with no primer, and I've had like lots of makeup wipes on my hand, so it probably dulls the colors down a little bit. Oh, and another thing is these almost stain your eyes. Like look at the two brighter shades on the end, like you can already tell they stain my fingers. Okay, so yeah, there those colors are swatched. So as far as this palette goes, like I said, this one's kind of like in the middle. I love it. I think it performs really well, but how often will I wear it? I actually was going to try to do a bright, bold look today, and then I started like getting into it, and it just was not happening. I think this one has the most variety out of all three because you are getting so many different shades. Like the Cool Tone one, 5 different light color shades. This one you have greens, you have light blues, dark blues, neon pinks, purples, you have all these different full shades from orange to green. So you get a ton in this palette. But again, the only con is like, are you really going to wear it that often for $68? So overall, as far as across the board goes with these palettes, the pros for me is that it is $68. Like that is a really good deal for 28 shades, especially on like the warm tone and the editorial, because you're getting a lot of really good shades. I also love that it comes in a hard packaging. Like they didn't skip out on the packaging. You also do get a nice size mirror, so you could definitely travel with this palette. Unlike the Natasha palette, I feel like this one is a little bit more sturdier than hers is because I get worried about traveling with that one. I also think, you know, for them just now, I know they have had eyeshadows I guess in the past, but for them releasing palettes, they did a really good job. Like it's really hard, especially making 3 different, like completely different palettes and releasing them at the same time. I honestly didn't think they were going to be as good as they turned out to be, so I'm very pleasantly surprised with that. The blendability for the warm tone, oh my gosh, blended like a dream, super pigmented, buttery. The editorial one's a little bit drier, and then the Cool Tone, again, it just didn't really work for me that great. And then the pros of the palettes, again, if it is $68, so that's a pro and a con. That is a lot of money to spend, especially if you end up like not loving all of the shades. It is a lot of money. And then with the Cool Tone, it just didn't perform like I really wanted it to. And also, honestly, it could be like some of the shades just aren't my style, so maybe that had like an effect. I have no idea. I'm just letting you guys know my opinions on it. But if you've had your eye on these palettes and you're a warm tone lover, like go get the warm tone palette. I really, really like it. I don't know, again, if you are going to get a ton of use out of the editorial one. If you love fun and bright colors, oh my gosh, yes. Go try it out. It's awesome. And then the Cool Tone one, let me know if you guys have tried it down below. Like I said, for me, it just didn't work. And I don't know if there's any like duds as far as like in the palettes goes, but I do think that they did an awesome job. I'm very happy. I'm keeping all 3 of my palettes. I really hope that they will keep these around. I know they were supposed to be limited edition and they are back in stock. So again, I'll leave them down below. But anyways, I love you guys. I hope this video was helpful. Give it a thumbs up if it was, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!